towards the end of the episode when Dorit was like, well, we don't necessarily have all the information. No, bitch, you don't. Nobody does. Nobody does. That's what we're trying to do.
Hello, everybody. I'm Will.
And I'm Rachel.
And this is So I'm Watching The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, Season 11, Episode 18?
Fuck if I know.
I think it's 18. Something. This is your part. Not right now. It's fine. But second chair needs to have the deets.
I'm so sorry. I'm very new to this still.
Something about Kathy and Kim go to Vista Del Mar or something.
Barb and Star. Season 19, Del Mar by the Shade.
Episode 19.
There.
Season 11, Del Mar by the Shade.
Off to a great start.
I'll edit it down. And this is So I'm Watching The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills.
Episode
18.
Del Mar by the Shade.
So we are new to covering the series. I am new to the series, period. Rachel is not. She finally talked me into it. We recorded about like a 40-minute to an hour long season 11 recap, which gets us up to this point. And then just for shits, we're going to finish out the season episodic coverage. So if you like that, if you like us, watch this space and either stay tuned for our season 11 up to this point recap coming out soon, or you just watched it and now we're watching this. So good. Yay, good on you. First things first, we have to talk about the single most important thing that happened in this episode, and that is Bambi the dog. Kyle's dog, Bambi, with that white face.
All of her dogs are so cute, but they are all so bad.
Tiago seems like he's got his shit together.
Yeah.
Erika's dog.
Yeah, because he's not a German Shepherd, but he's like German Shepherd adjacent. So I'm sure he came
like pre-installed with all of the words in German. Does she have to yell at him in German?
Probably. It would not surprise me.
No, that's Dorit's dog. Okay. I'm so in. I don't know where to start. Kathy took him to Del Mar. Kathy, so this season she's like a friend of the Housewives.
Yes, this is kind of like her audition. Yeah.
You think it's going well? You think that she's going to...
If they don't make her a permanent cast member, I feel like all of us Bravo viewers are going to fucking riot.
Is she being well received by everyone? I know we love her.
I feel like she is. I mean, we can't be the only ones that are not that are just not like tearing our hair out and be like, yes, bitch, yes.
She's so funny. My favorite thing is her just total and utter non-commitment to everything, because she bails out of sentences halfway through, and everyone else around her, it's sort of like Sofia Vergara, where you just have to sort of be like, okay, I think I know what she said. But
well, and girl, what's that like? You just roll through life. I mean, like having people pick you up and put you down.
Sure, but you can't accuse her of not doing work. She's doing.
No. She does work, but it's just like it's the basic stuff that
you were beside yourself. Well, and the editing. So this is some top-notch reality TV. Because she's trying to find her purse at Kyle's house, and it just cuts back to her bag. Like you feel like they left a camera, like a B-roll, a guy just sitting there to film the bag. I
would be livid
if you were Kyle.
If I had so if everyone was leaving from my house, and then everyone showed up in the manner that they all did, and then Kathy didn't have her stuff, and so then I was left running around trying to find it, and Erika's leaving, and everyone's trying to decide if they're going, I would be beside myself in rage. I would be silent. And, when she's trying to be like, who should I call when I call your house to tell them to come get it? She was like, the lady.
The lady
Who
came.
Is the lady?
The lady came through.
The lady did.
She pulled through.
The lady came through.
I feel like that. I was like, I hope she pays them well, because I feel like they.
I'm telling myself that she does.
So they get to Del Mar. It was nice. A little on the gaudy side for me, which, I mean, I like gaudy, but it felt just like a hair out of date, maybe.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's like the Venetian. It felt very Vegas-y while being in San Diego.
But it was fine. It was nice. They're all in their rooms. They have, because you were losing it with. Okay, so the elephant in the room, I don't know if you're new to this, but I relate to Kathy Hilton in several ways. Many, many ways. I love that they're getting ready for dinner and she goes and takes a nap. Because I stay napping. And my favorite, so she gets up and starts getting ready. And Kyle's like almost done. And she's like, what time is the reservation? And she's like, oh, it's at 8. We'll be fine. And they flash at the screen and they're like 8:15.
Oh my God. And she's like, and the place cards are ready. Girl, why are they not downstairs on the table already? What?
So, yeah, so they get down to dinner. A lot happens. A lot happens in this dinner. Well, actually, before we get to the dinner, I do want to say they had a pop-up picnic. And she kept saying that like that was something. Like that meant anything. The pop-up picnic.
No, when they rolled in fresh from their road trip from LA, she was like, so telling the concierge guy, so I think it would be really fun to have like a pop-up picnic. And he's like, absolutely. This is like hours after they arrive. That poor staff. Oh my God. God's work.
Clearing the
God's
beach
work.
of sea lions.
Oh my God. And I don't know if you guys have ever been to La Jolla. When I tell you the smell will never leave my nose for the rest of my life. You smell them before you see them. It is beyond. Yeah. I mean, the pop-up picnic turned out really nice.
Mm-hmm.
Really nice, and Sutton was not there because she sprained her ankle.
It was all fine. Like everything passed the smell test, but it was just very like it felt very Sutton.
Yes, yeah.
And she somehow managed. She like wrangled Garcelle into being her caretaker.
Oh my God! But also, can we just talk about how stunning Garcelle? All of her looks were in this episode. That head to toe white number. Perfection. And that blue that she was wearing when they went to the sound bath, I don't know what kind of jewel tones, like cerulean or whatever that was. It was amazing. Immaculate.
So I feel like the big juicy topic in this one is the Erika and Sutton continuing their sort of fight. But I got more from the Garcelle part. So we start with like Erika and Sutton. This group is obsessed. They are obsessed with like
fixing it.
Yes. And I'm like, ain't nothing to fix.
Let sleeping dogs lie.
Well, and furthermore, because they're going to talk again. These people are, first of all, friends. Second of all, on a TV show. They'll talk again. Yes. Like, and it's the kind of thing that's like, you just need someone to come in and be like, give it its time. Like, because Erika was very like, the door's shut. Like, the door's shut. And there's this entire conversation where Sutton's like, well, do I go knock on the door? And I was like, not now.
No.
Not here. No. Not now.
And then I get frustrated with Erika because why is she not calling it a boundary? This is the boundary that I've set. I do not want you to cross this boundary.
So I am mostly on Erika's side with all of this. However, I do think that she could have budged, but this also wasn't the time for that conversation. No. Nor was it the time for her to budge. Because I have a lot of friends and I have a lot of good friends. And I remember reading the advice was meant for romantic love, but it can go for any kind of love. But they were like, the secret to making a relationship work is you have to care about the other person as much as or more than yourself. Mm-hmm. You have to be willing to be wrong. You have to be willing to back down. Mm-hmm. You have to be willing to what do they call it? Eat, not shit. But there you go. That's what I was going for. And these women just aren't prepared to do that. No. And I nor do they necessarily have to, because again, I mean, as much as this is about a group of friends, this is a job for many of them. Mm-hmm. And the thing is, it's like they're arguing over, because this is the second time this season, and as I've mentioned, this is my only season, but this is the second time this season where we're really hung up on a word, and it's like the word was used, but implications were different. The first time was the violated.
Yes.
When Kristen was like, when someone says I felt violated, that is not the same as you violated me.
Correct.
Because one is passive and one is active.
Right.
And so it's like, even though you're both using the same word, you can't control it doesn't always mean the same thing, and you can't control how the other person feels. And so Erika is like, you called me a liar. And it's like, well, because that's something I feel very passionately about. I don't, unless I have hard, multiple evidence, I don't call somebody a liar, because that implies premeditation. That implies long-term. That implies like there's a difference between murder and manslaughter. You know what I mean? Like, and so there's plenty of times where, I mean, even recently I've had a situation where I've had to be like, I don't think you're lying. I'm just saying that I don't trust the information that I'm being given.
Whereas I'll flat out be like, this bitch be lying. So, I mean, and I 100% get what you're saying.
Oh, an omission of truth is not the same thing as a lie, Sutton.
No,
I don't care.
No, but I think, but I probably would feel the same way as Erika when it says you lied about this, you lied about that. So in my mind, it's like, okay, so she's calling me a liar because there's multiple lies that she's insinuating.
Well, and again, they for whatever reason, they keep assuming that they have all of the pieces.
Well, and then they said the thing towards the end of the episode when Dorit was like, well, we don't necessarily have all the information. No, bitch, you don't. Nobody does. That's what we're trying to do.
This is ongoing litigation. Yeah. And I mean, there's been several times where Erika's like, because this time they tried to catch her up on the word allegedly, where she was like, allegedly. And they're like, well, how did the story change? I'm like, the story didn't change. She's picking and choosing what she can say to who. And she's using her discretion a lot of times. So,
I mean, if I were in that situation and I heard her say allegedly, I probably would be like, what do you mean? I would want clarity.
Well, or you can make a mental note where it's like, oh, I'm going to take a step back from this person because I don't know that. I don't know. It's something that, because I struggle with this with our friend group a lot of time, where I have this thing that I say that gets me in trouble, where I'll be like, I don't believe that. And you'll be like, so are you saying I'm lying? And I'm like, I believe you believe what you said.
Like, was it that you said that I loved Arby's? And I literally get one thing there, and I maybe go once every 2 years. It's the equivalent.
I was sitting in the doctor's office of my mother's doctor's office, waiting for her to come out, and you were, Kristen and me and you were talking. You were like, I love Arby's. I had a big beef and cheddar last night.
Never in my life.
Chicken, and anyone who knows her knows that that's how she talks about dinner.
Chicken cordon bleu until the day I die. I have never had a big beef and cheddar. Oh, by the way, we got to that episode of 30 Rock. Yeah, and so I'm like, I think that's what Will is thinking. I mean, what a compliment to be confused from Monica Bellucci. I mean,
Isabella Rossellini.
There you go, or that.
So, okay, if we're gonna have this fight now, let's clear the air. Let's do it. Let's clear the air. Is what probably happened is Kristen was the one who was like, I love Arby's. I had a big beef and cheddar yesterday. And you probably said something very accommodating, which is very in character for you to be like, oh yeah, that's great. I love that. Or something like that.
Or I would have been like, oh, I like the it literally just left my brain.
Chicken cordon bleu.
Thank you.
Regardless.
Business.
So anyways, they get very hung up on these very specific words. And there's just sort of like at a certain point, it's like, what are we doing? You know what I mean? Yeah. And it's like, are we gonna work through this or not? Are we gonna do it now? Are we gonna, I don't know. So this dinner scene was hilarious because we start off Erika and like how I'm Erika in this scenario. We start off Erika and Sutton.
If we're being honest.
Then go to Dorit and Erika. Then go to Dorit and Garcelle. Then Garcelle against the world.
Yeah.
So Garcelle was on last season?
Yes.
As like a cast member?
Yeah.
So I haven't seen that. I've only seen this season. And I've been very empathetic to Garcelle's plight because I just think it's there. I think you can tell that she is somehow shockingly the first Black cast member on this show. I think that in many ways, she, as many ways as she's in this world, I think there are ways that she's not. I think that because she and Lisa Rinna are actresses, they're working actresses. And so that's already going to be a slightly different life path, life experience and stuff. And also I did miss the Denise Richards stuff. Apparently that's one of the places that Garcelle found herself kind of alienated. She didn't like how that situation went down in particular.
She took Denise's side in the whole thing.
But I think that she is guarded. And I think that...
As you would be in her situation.
Yeah. And I do think she is... I'm trying to choose my words carefully because I don't want to say petty because that has a negative connotation. But for lack of a better word, I think there can be a pettiness to what she chooses, to how she, and this is what you have been telling me, that she picks and chooses when to say things and when to let things go and stuff. And I think there was... I think that there was a vulnerability that she was holding off on, and we got it in this episode. And I'm glad that it came down. I'm glad she said these things. I'm glad that we had this conversation, but also she's not through the woods.
No, there
is a opening yourself up to people who could hurt you for, they could fail her yet. You know what I mean? They could let her down, and it's just...
Well, and to err is human, so they most likely will. That's the whole gambit with being vulnerable, is being vulnerable leaves you susceptible to pain, and it's gonna hurt.
And they largely seem, and this is me coming from a relatively outside perspective, but they in a general sense seem like good people. They seem like good women who want to do good things or the right thing. However, that doesn't mean that they are willing or able to do all the hard work.
Correct. Well,
which is where we're at.
Correct. They haven't had to challenge their privilege.
Nor do I think that they are open to.
No, but I like that they seemed very receptive, and I like that when we get to this point where Garcelle or Crystal open up, that they seem very willing to let them speak. They don't want to talk them over it and be like, no, but my pain.
Well, which is, I think, what happened with Crystal and Sutton in the beginning of the season.
Yeah.
Because this is twice now that Kathy has sort of initiated something and then actually sat back and listened. And I am impressed. It's a low bar, but it's not a bar that I would have bet Kathy Hilton would clear.
Exactly. I mean, the heiress to all of the Hiltons and everything like that. You really think that woman right there would be the one to just shut the fuck up and listen? I would have lost that bet for sure. For sure.
So it was a very interesting conversation. I want to think some things were accomplished. I think Garcelle and Dorit accomplished the most.
Oh yes.
And Erika and Sutton.
Which I feel like just let them be. Yeah. Let them be. And I think Erika's right for shutting it down. She don't want to talk to her. She didn't have to talk to her.
Let them sit on. Dorit and Erika should switch places.
Absolutely.
There's no reality where they shouldn't have been that close.
Everyone act like nothing's wrong. I mean, you mean to tell me a bunch of white, waspy bitches can't act like there's nothing wrong? You just
because this is where the Kyle's the one who can't wrap her mind around the fact that there are two people that something's not hunky dory.
Who is hunky dory?
Yeah. Oh my god. Yeah. I know I keep using this expression, but just let sleeping dogs lie, because eventually it will peter out. But just
the amount of times, I got to tell you, the amount of times that I set something into motion in my attempts to preemptively prevent something from happening, it took me well into my 30s to learn. I have a motto, and it's people will sink their own ships. You just have to get out of the way long enough to let it happen. And if I could give that gem to more people here.
I definitely have that in my pocket, that I remind myself of that a lot. Yeah.
It was a hard-earned lesson, but...
I'm still learning, but, still holding on to it.
Yeah, I think we got a little bit more from Erika, that Tom is being... This part feels gross. we're not really following like the court case. His brother is his conservator.
Well, and they're claiming that he has dementia and that they want to put him in a home for his dementia. So
and Erika isn't, because you said, how is his family with her? Because I mean, they're treating her like she's some hussy that married him 18 months ago, and they've been together for 22 years.
I mean, I don't think it was a contentious relationship nor a particularly loving one. I think they tolerated her
with the family.
Yeah, I think that they tolerated her as the third wife, who is 30 years his junior.
It just passes the 30 Rock test. It has to be in order for a relationship to be appropriate, they have to be half your age plus a minimum of half your age plus 7.
Oh, okay. Haven't gotten there yet in the show.
Yeah. And as I recall, she's like right on it, or maybe like 1 year. But it's like it's just within the grace period of being an appropriate relationship.
Yeah, I don't know. And I feel like in that moment, especially since she initiated the divorce proceedings, I think that they are very much kind of closing rank around him and around the situation. So she's not going to be involved in that at all.
Is better for her.
I agree. I mean, in these types of situations,
unless they're going to scapegoat her and they're closing ranks so they can throw her under the bus.
Yeah, that's where just a lot of this. There are decisions being made that you can tell are very strategic decisions. And I think claiming that he has dementia and wanting to put him in a home, I think is a very specific narrative that they are trying to paint.
Well, and that's something that makes this so tricky, because on top of that, this is a reality TV show, so there are strategic decisions being made about the storytelling. So we're a minimum of 2 layers deep. Strategery. I could never. We're a minimum of 2 layers deep into this, like into the machinations of this. So that's something that is so fascinating about it. The girls got sound baths. It seemed great.
That's so nice. Kathy fell asleep. Love that for her.
Well, she was up all night having a party in her presidential suite.
And she was so butthurt that no one would want to come have coffee after 11:30. Oh my god.
Yeah, I think that's sufficient for this episode.
We didn't talk about Sutton's shady possible eye roll. When Dorit,
I wasn't convinced enough, but when Dorit, Dorit was doing, apparently I'm new, but I catch on a Dorit special. She was doing too much.
No, Dorit? No, not her.
Neck hugging Garcelle and being like, "I'm so proud of you," or whatever it was.
Character.
Dorit was doing too much, and there was a kind of like an eye roll from Sutton, and I questioned you, and you were like, "No," and we flipped back, and you were like, "Well, it wasn't not an eye roll.
It was a shift, so not quite an entire rotation, but there was a significant shift."
It's the kind of thing that it's like, that's the thing for me with Sutton, is she's actually so close to being one of my favorites, but she needs to like.
She overcorrects.
It's the waffling. It's like you pick an angle and go.
Yeah, pick a lane.
So, and my girl Crystal, nose clean, keeping out of it.
Really, yeah.
She just like glided. Glowed.
It's 12:46.
Glade. Okay. Well, hopefully you enjoyed that, and if so, then like, subscribe, follow, link out, and we will most likely be back next week to see this through.
I'm loving this.
To have this same conversation with a handful of new details.
Yet again. Although the clip from next week looks hella juicy.
I don't even remember what it was. What was it?
I don't remember either.
I remember squealing.
Me too, but I don't remember it. I walked through 2 doorways to get it here.
That is true. That is true.
It is gone. It is removed. We will never see her again. JK, next week.